Welcome to Beyond the Gates 2024. It's day 4 here in Bergen, and this time we have the actual headliner act here with me, Satyricon. Frost, welcome to Rauta. It's nice to have you here. It's a pleasure to meet you again.
Yeah, nice talking to you, sir.
This is a very, very special event for you since you have 2 shows back to back, and indeed you're headlining here at Grieghallen, which is of course one of the most iconic places in Norway for black metal. How does it feel for you to play in such an iconic and important place?
When you get to a place like Grieghallen, where we have never performed live before, you immediately sense a little of what I noticed when we were at the opera, playing a show there, that it feels that you are almost, exalted in a way. And thought that you are gonna perform at such a place makes you feel a little small but big at the same time. And it fills you with some dignity, but also makes you feel proud. And that solemn and high-rise feeling that you can sense in Satyricon, of course, will get a huge lift when you get to a place like Grieghallen, which has, an aura which is all about the ritualistic and rather serious side of things. So what is serious already feels even more serious when you get to Grieghallen. We like the town of Bergen and the atmosphere here, and this place makes it feel even more dense. It concentrates that kind of atmosphere, and Satyricon really thrives in that atmosphere. And I certainly do so myself. It's a personal feeling as well.
Yeah. What's the reason, by the way, you have never played at Grieghallen? Because people would kind of consider it kind of obvious thing to happen, even though you're more or less Oslo-based, or?
We have performed at Beyond the Gates before, and these festivals that were prior to Beyond the Gates, but which had a similar profile, Hole in the Sky, that's run for many years. They didn't really use Grieghallen. They used the scene at Verftet, which is also a big venue.
Yes.
And the bands that play in Bergen, at least in hard rock and metal, usually will play at Verftet. If you look away from, arena bands and that sort. And I don't think Grieghallen is much used for shows, and you cannot just go and book Grieghallen, So when it happens because we have a festival, and the organizers, they have a way of making it happen, and they probably play it, they plan for it perhaps a year or 2 in advance, or even more. And perhaps they try to make it happen and do not make it. So I guess that they might have been in touch with Grieghallen here for years before they finally, managed to make it happen. And now they have had shows here for a few years, I guess. And luckily we got the chance to perform here now. And Satyricon style, we don't play here one night, we do 2 when we first come over and do this.
How do you feel about these 2-night specials? Because obviously, like I said before the interview, that you have 2 different sets, and it's going through back and forth the history and all that stuff. But is there a different kind of energy for, say, day 1 or day 2?
Yes, there is. And I guess you know pretty well that challenges is nothing new for this band. We basically take them upon us because we feel that we grow on them, we learn from them, and it makes all of the musicians in the band stay focused, and it prevents us from falling into boredom or routine, which is a fine thing. And also we thought that for the first time, when we got the chance to do it, we thought that this could be a right new kind of experience for us. It would be demanding because when we're in a festival season, we usually do these rather short festival sets. We don't do, these longer club shows. it means a lot of new material to learn for musicians that haven't been with the band for a long time. We haven't been playing live since 2019.
Yeah, that's a long break.
So that, you know, that's an additional challenge because we have new people in the band and haven't been playing live in a long while. So when we also, you know, add tons of new songs in order to have two totally different 75-minute sets with not one single song overlapping.
So that's quite a bit of
that
stuff.
means the time spent in the rehearsal place, and it also means that we have to improvise quite a bit.
Yeah.
But okay, we stay focused.
Yeah.
And I guess that we will grow a little on that experience as well. You mentioned energy, like yesterday was a show that had a sense of, you know, high density, very aggressive and authoritative and violent in a way.
Yeah.
Well, today will probably be a bit more, you know, solemn, melancholic.
Kind of
Perhaps
atmosphere.
should we say, well, perhaps not a deeper sense of darkness, but more a calmer sense of darkness. You know,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
forest pond at night. In a
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
Rather than, you know, hellish storms and that sort of thing.
Yeah. What was interesting yesterday was that your drum set was quite on the front, on the right side of things from the audience perspective, and whereas drummers normally are, of course, on the back. How did it feel like to be on the front with guitars and, of course, vocals lined up like that? And because everybody is, of course, always paying attention what Frost does as one of the best extreme metal drummers. Is there a different feeling playing on the front?
I didn't really feel that way, but I'm not sure how it looked like from the audience perspective. I felt like that. I was behind this kit like like I always am, and I'm, you know, behind this wall of drums and cymbals and microphones and stuff. So there is still this, you know, wall between
Kind of,
me
yeah.
and the rest of the world, even the rest of the band in a way. So it didn't feel that different, and I try to give it my all. I go apeshit every day when I play, no matter what, even at rehearsals. So there was no reason to think differently about it. I want things to be visual, but I think that everything is just revolving around the heart of the matter here, which is our music, and there is a reason that we play the songs that we do.
Yeah.
Because that is where our heart is, and the music comes from our heart to begin with. And the other ideas, I mean, the lyrics, the visual side of the band, the graphics, and the way we want to represent the band visually, energy-wise, how we appear. That is also coming from the same place as the music. So I see that everything is very tightly linked together, and that means that I don't really need to think that much about what is happening. I'm just doing
by intuition in a way.
Much about intuition, about instinct, and about responding to what is being released as I hear and sense the songs when I play, because that is doing a lot to the head, I can assure you.
Now, being more than 30 years playing extreme metal must be really taxing when it comes to so extreme drumming style. You're not exactly known for playing lightly or slow tempos, but very aggressive, very violent, technical even. How different it is playing those songs when you're closer 50-50 as opposed to teenagers when you started?
Well, I feel more composed now, which I think is much more a good thing than a bad thing. Like for instance, when we revisited Nemesis Divina and later Rebel Extravaganza, I discovered that, you know, it was almost difficult listening to the old songs and listening to them from a musician's perspective. I'm a musician at hope then, a better level today than I was when these albums were recorded. And I thought that, how untight, and why did you do it like this? And didn't really, you know, sound all that professional and controlled. And yeah, it sounded so uncontrolled that it was very negative to me, and also many of the solutions didn't really make sense. But on the other hand, I also felt that there was a lot of wild energy and something very untamed.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I thought that we're going to try to keep some of that wild, untamed feeling. But hopefully all these years of learning and improvising and trying to grow as a musician and as a person, you know, we can melt all of this together and try to make the entire thing move forward. And physically speaking, I don't feel that differently about it. What was easy when you were 25 is perhaps tougher when you are more than 50, but you just have to put down more work.
Yeah.
And you have to be more careful about how you live your life,
Like less partying.
how you prepare, and you have to see to it that when the body is totally worn out, it probably needs some care, some stretching. I mean, I've been doing yoga routines for many, many years now. They help me a lot.
Yeah.
And you have to do some mental work to support what you do. But then the good thing is that the band has also grown in size, and that means more resources being brought to the band, and that gives us a larger room to, you know, free ourselves from other types of commitments and limitations and obstacles.
Yeah.
So we can dedicate ourselves to a larger extent to what we do. Basically, you know, being about the music that we do for as long as we're awake and even in sleep.
No, you're one of also those dynamic duos, so to say, with Satyr, like being long time in the same band without splitting up or all that stuff. Whereas there are lots of old bands who have had so many lineup problems and people coming and new people going, or old people going and new people coming and all that stuff. What is your secret to this kind of brother thing that you keep going on after 30 years and still making albums and going tours?
I guess that we have found our respective roles in the band. That took a while. We respect each other. That respect has probably grown over the years. And we have had difficulties but managed to overcome them. And then we have also found out that having other people being full members of the band, meaning giving away quite a lot of control, that wouldn't work for us.
Yeah.
We need to be in total control of everything that is happening artistic wise. So others kind of come and say that you should do this and that to your music, your production, your artwork, or anything. No musician, no record company, no manager, nobody can come in there and say that, you know, we want to be part of this also. You have to let us have a saying in how the final result is going to be. That wouldn't work. So that means that we stay a duo when we make songs, and nobody else are coming there and saying anything about how any record is to be in any way.
Yeah.
But when we are done with songs, we obviously need to have a band in order to perform them live.
Yeah,
and we gather people that are willing to understand and play along with the rules that we have. And obviously we need top shelf musicians, but not only do they need to be good, they need to, you know, subscribe to our ideas and our way of working. And the people that we have in the band now, they do that.
That's very good. Now, talking about Satyricon's music, it's obvious that it has kind of changed quite a bit over the years. One could even kind of put different albums in different eras, like whatever started with Dark Medieval Times, kind of evolved into Shadow Throne and Nemesis Divina, but then there was Rebel Extravaganza that was kind of a game changer, going much different direction from the first atmospheric albums, going into more, say, even industrialish feeling. And later on, you kind of also moved onward from that, and the latest album had been more, how do you say, more rock and rollish in a way, with the exception of the Monk album. How do you personally see these different eras from as a musician?
Yeah, there are so many elements being part of that equation. I mean, first of all, evolution is a fundamental element in Satyricon. You know, if you think about what constitutes Satyricon and Satyricon expression, evolution is, you know, one of the pillars. So that means that we always seek to make things move forward somehow. And at a certain point, we also saw that the world somehow has accepted us as one of the leading bands in the genre, and we're going to take the responsibility that follows and not only try to evolve as the band that we are and want to be, but also try to, you know, show the way for the entire scene in a way. I mean, we can only, you know, go our own path, but somehow, you know, if you feel that you are in a leading position and you also feel that you have the kind of authority that you need as a leader, perhaps you should take the responsibility and lead by example.
Yeah.
So we try to do that, and that basically pushes us even further.
And talking about
and just, you know, the other part of it is that Satyricon also reflects how we grow as a band. So what we were able to do when we made Nemesis Divina, for instance, was something that we couldn't have done when we recorded Dark Medieval Times. We could hardly play our instruments. We had the will and we had the spirit and determination, and that was it. And going from there, we started, you know, to get better at our instruments, because we saw that as a necessity. And we managed to overcome some, you know, technical obstacles, and we managed to bring resources into the band, and we gained momentum. But then with Rebel Extravaganza, as you said, there was something in addition to that, because that was almost like a political thing as well. We felt that the entire black metal scene was, you know, going off the hinges. And if we had continued doing what we did on Nemesis, for instance, having lots of these huge orchestrated arrangements, lots of synthesizers, perhaps what should you say, not really romantic in any way, but, you know, very melodic. Nemesis Divina is a very melodic album.
Yeah.
And when we saw, you know, the very gothic direction of black metal in the second half of the 90s, we felt that we couldn't be part of, you know, taking that further. We needed to put emphasis on something else. So it felt like a necessity to take a step away from it and show a very different direction, bringing into the equation something that was very much sinister and dark and uncanny in a more like clinical way, and take away, you know, the more harmonic and beautiful melodies, take away the A choirs and all these nice orchestrated elements, and rather make it very, very harsh and unfriendly and very aggressive. That felt like the right direction for us to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of see how we think that it's a, you know, some of the evolution comes from the learning process. We always try to learn and observe and get better, and then you get better, you find, you know,
new challenges,
you enter new musical rooms, you explore them, and you get to new places. But with Rebel Extravagance, for instance, it's also a matter of deliberately trying to make a shift. So, and sometimes that happens.
Now, after Deep Calleth Upon Deep, there was the surprise element when you did the monk thing. What kind of a sidestep, or is it a step forward it is for Satyricon?
Yeah, it was a sidestep and a step forward. Satyr got an idea when walking out in forests in 2018, I believe. And he just instinctively felt that he got a connection with Munch's spirit and Munch's works. I guess that he had something like a vision as he was walking in the forest, and he was like seeing this Munch works for his inner eye, and he heard, some kind of soundscapes for his inner ear. And these things came together in a way that he felt that I need to do something with this. It's almost like a calling. And at that point, he was not certain whether this was going to be his personal work,
like von Graben style,
like he himself, like some kind of solo project, or whether this should actually be a Satyricon work. He didn't know. He just thought that I have to just start working on some ideas and try to write some music that fits with this idea I've gotten, and start to see if I can realize my plan and vision here. And eventually they started to take shape. He started to come up with musical pieces, and he managed to connect them with the spirit of some different works of Munch. And as this was evolving and getting closer to actually becoming, a full musical work of an hour, he realized that this needs to be the next Satyricon album. I feel that this is part of the Satyricon spirit also. It's going to be something really different, but it's going to be a very, very fine challenge for me personally. And I want Satyricon to kind of benefit from this spiritual journey. And, he is the composer in the band after all, and also the, creative brain here. So what he's doing spirit-wise will, of course, affect Satyricon in a huger sense. So it will affect this new album that we're now working on as we speak, because that's happening in parallel here.
Yeah, that was actually something that I wanted to ask. So, what will be the next chapter, so to say, after this Munch thing, and roughly when we might be expecting it?
Yeah, I think that whatever this new album is going to be, because we don't know for sure yet, but it's going to be a more conventional album in a way, but there's going to be a lot about it that is not conventional. We are looking into some different ideas, but I cannot reveal too much about them. That wouldn't make sense at this point. But somehow the journey that Satyr was on when he worked on the Munch project will also have a pretty grave effect on what is happening with this new material. And I think that it will somehow reflect on how we think musically. But you might also say that we are a bit more, back in a more conventional landscape, if that term makes sense in Satyricon's work.
Yeah, kind of hard to pinpoint it till.
And I think that the album will be very, very varied, and you can always expect the unexpected in this band, and that continues to be true now, and definitely not less, perhaps even a little bit more after that Munch period.
All right. You also played in other bands besides Satyricon, even if they were side tracks. How different it has been played for like 1349 or bands like that, aside from being the Satyricon guy?
yeah, then that is really something else. I mean, it's about Satyricon and 3049 for me. That's the bands that I'm a member of. I stay like that for a long while now. And I like having those two worlds in which I can exist, or should we almost say coexist. What I'm doing in Satyricon will to a large extent be dictated by how this band operates and what Satyr wants me to do. I see Satyr as a kind of a, Beethoven in a way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to mess around with his compositions. I would like to take part and fulfill them.
Yeah.
Bringing into it what I can, but I have to do it in a way so that it merges well with the original ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to, add something that doesn't belong there,
Yeah.
or take away anything that really needs to be there. And it's a lot about, analysis, trying and failing, and to try to communicate musically with the composer in the band. In 1349, I basically go by instinct and intuition all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I take these forest walks whenever the composer Archeon has written a song.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to hear what the drums should be like. And then I go to the rehearsal place and I play those drums. Other times I don't even need to, ponder about it at all. I realize instantly when I'm hearing the, guitar-based compositions, what the drums should be. And I just go ahead and play it, and sometimes I feel that I'm gonna do this fill, and it just comes by itself basically. So that's totally different, and also the style is in every way different. I have said earlier that Satyricon is a bit like, this high precision surgical bombing, while 3049 is carpet bombing.
Oh, yeah. So
If you,
yeah. So very different, even
yeah.
if it from the outside might feel a little bit same. But yeah. Now, because we were going through the journey and all that stuff, you also had some reissues maybe 2 years ago with the early stuff, with the new cover art and all. Do you have similar plans for other albums as well? Will you kind of expand the old versions, or is it this only 2 albums?
No, it was important with our 2 first albums because they were not on the market anymore, and there was huge demand for them, and no reason that they should be unavailable to people. I mean, we are still proud of those albums. So I thought it was too wrong that people would be denied the possibility of actually getting hold of these albums, and no reason that they should be sold on eBay for thousands of crowns,
Yeah.
But then there were really no deals anymore, so we needed to renegotiate and see to it that we could re-release those albums in a proper way. And doing that, we also thought that there are things about those albums that didn't really come out right. We could fix that now. So Satyr decided that he would remaster them and make them sound really, a little bit better. We wouldn't really change anything fundamental, but adding some depth to those albums was something that we felt there was a huge need for, and we wanted to try do that without really harming the originals in any way, and not mess around with them, but do it in a very respectful way, not trying to say that this is a long time ago, let's see if we can make them sound like today. Not at all, but it's possible to make it sound a little better, to open up and to give some depth where it's needed, so it doesn't sound so thin and outdated. And also there were things with the artwork. You know, we didn't really have the right cover for that in medieval times. It was cool to have a drawing that was made by a good artist, Jannicke Wies Hansen.
Yeah.
At the time, and you know, it felt a bit huge
Yeah.
when we were in our teens, and you know, having our own cover and not something that was taken out of a book or from somewhere else.
Yeah,
It
true.
was made especially for the
original art.
album. So when we got the drawing, we just decided to use it. But really, I think that Satyricon wanted that old Kittelsen drawing, Pesta kommer, which has now become the cover.
Yeah.
That was a part of the booklet when the original was released, but it should have been on the cover. That seemed, you know, much more right for that album. And Satyr always said after the release of the album that he still felt that, you know, that Kittelsen drawing was the cover that he would picture when listening to Dark Medieval Times. And so now it's there, and with that, you know, frame that I drew back in the days, which gave it a little personal touch, you know. And it was a little bit the same with the shadows drawn, that Satyr used the picture that he had taken himself, and which he thought had this, you know, kind of mystical, uncanny spirit, but it didn't really fit as a cover. But you know, we were young when these albums were released.
Yeah, true.
And we were thinking perhaps a bit one-dimensional about it, you know, a good picture, good cover.
Yeah, but it makes sense in that age, especially.
So now we felt that it lacked, you know, that kind of a statement that the cover should have. Now I think we have the right one, you know, a very, very atmospheric picture by a Norwegian artist, Harald Solberg. And which has exactly, you know, that kind of calm but dark feeling that the album also has.
So Circle is now complete and available for newer generations as well.
So now that those albums are out and available again, we don't have any other, you know, issues to fix like that.
All right.
So going too much back in the history isn't what we like to do, but sometimes it's, you know, it's more necessary almost for practical reasons than anything else.
All right, it seems like we're running out of time here, so let's make it to a final question, which is, let's play a little bit foretelling game, and where would we see Satyricon being in, say, next 2 or 3 years? What's going to happen during those couple of years ahead?
It's going to be about this new album. I mean, we have made most of the material for that album, and we have been rehearsing it and going a little bit back and forth with that material now, doing some demos and stuff for a while. So we will take that to an end, record it, find out, you know, exactly how to, what to make out of the release, because that's going to be a thing that people will find out when it's done. And I expect that we will somehow tour with the album. Perhaps not conventional club tour, could be something else. It could be something more like, you know, doing more, you know, like special shows with some elements that add something visually or musically or both. And we know that the band will at least be active as a live band also in the future. And we have some tours planned. If you had asked me 1 year ago, I would have said that this is probably not going to happen again ever, but people that do follow us on the internet probably knows that we are going to be touring in the spring again.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are probably going to be more of that as well. So what I can say now is that the new album and touring following that is going to fill a lot of the next 2 or 3 years, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Thank you so much for all your time and all your extensive answers. Now, people, you know what there is to be expected. A new album, new gigs and tour possibility. So, people, do yourself a favor, like I've been doing myself since 1997 when I saw these guys for the first time. Go to see them live, feel the original and, how to say, the best possible Satyricon energy you can get live, and dig deep into their music, new and old, to find out what this band is all about. Now, this is Beyond the Gates 2024. This is Rauta, I am Jerry, this is Frost. Off you go to enjoy some Satyricon. Stay tuned and stay metal. Alright, thank you.
Thank you,
Let's
Jerry.
take quick photos for social media purposes when this goes out.
Yeah.
We need to put those in the social media platforms. Excuse me. And if we can borrow you for 1 minute more after that, we're gonna